Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Royal Sussex Live. Welcome, one and all. Thank you so much for being here. Okay. I don't think we'll be here more than an hour. Fancy, fancy. Thank you so much for being here first. There are no prizes, but I really appreciate it. Okay, let's get on with it. Ah, eviction, eviction. You know, um, two families were evicted to make this happen. This is quite the story. This whole thing about the big move. So they say that this is going to be where the Wellses live once William becomes king, right? This is going to be William's High Grove. Yeah, this is going to be William's High Grove. But as far as I know, this house belongs to the Crown Estate. I um I kind of thought that Highgrove was the personal possession of Charles III, a house that he paid for out of his own money when he, decided that that would be his lifelong project to turn Highgrove into the show place that it is today. Really putting the emphasis on the gardens, which the gardens are available for touring if you are so inclined. Um, but yeah, that is, remember Club H? Well, that was the Club Highgrove where Harry and his brother would, I guess, have entertained their friends in the basement, in the bowels of the Highgrove house. So there you go. Um, this is going to be Williams. I don't suppose he wants High Grove. Yeah, I think it identifies too much with his father, and and I think what Charles is doing right now is he's trying to do something to perpetuate his influence on the High Grove house long after he's down in that storm cellar at the St. George Chapel, right? And the George the Sixth storm cellar down there in the basement, um, where you can wait out things like, I don't know, hurricanes, tornadoes, monsoons, World War III, all of those things. You can just kind of wait it out down in that storm cellar. Um, well, anyway, that being said, William and Kate's forever home fallout, the two families vacate cottages next to eight-bedroom Windsor mansion with tennis court and ballroom to make way for the Wellses. Now, I keep hearing them say that it was quite polite. There was no grumpiness. They just said, you know, they don't want families in these homes while the king and the future king and queen, the Welleses, they say for security reasons, um, you should vacate. Right? They're making it sound like they just politely asked them and they agreed. Yes, we'll leave. It is still an eviction. When the weight of the monarchy comes down on you and they ask you to leave, I don't know that there's any choices. You have to go. The families leased the properties from the Crown Estate, and from what I hear, although we haven't seen any photos of them yet, but from what I hear, it was horse stables that were turned into rental properties, residential rental properties. So um, anyway, I I don't believe you have a choice. Just like the family that was at the Anmer Hall, they were told they had to leave, and the Queen made that a very what do you call it? Late wedding gift to I guess the Cambridges as they were known at the time. So you really don't have a choice. You have to go. I don't know how you refuse. How does one refuse when the order is coming from the top? Well, in this case, William's not the top, not yet, but he is still the future king. So I don't know how you refuse that. You just have to go. So they said that they were offered places just as nice, if not better, than, where they were living. Although I would love to see what those other properties look like. I would. I do want to see those other properties. If only there were a way. Uh-oh, I think I know what I forgot to do. Let me remedy that right now. Oh, I did do it. Oh, I can't believe it. So is there a way? Is there a way? You know what? Um, what is the name of that house? It is the Forest Lodge. Let me see. Forest Lodge. Windsor. Oh, I got to put a D in there, right? Huh. You know what? It's giving me a neighborhood in Canada. Ah, there we go. All right, all right, all right. Okay, I'm looking at an aerial view. Now, I think it is what? How far is it from I'm looking at the Royal Estate of Windsor, Windsor Castle, all right, Windsor Great Windsor Park, whatever they call it. I'm trying to, you know what? I really want to get a nice satellite view of that property. Ah, okay, you guys. All right, all right, all right. I'm getting closer. I am so getting closer. Huh. Well, I see Forest Road, but that's not what I'm looking for, right? I'm looking for Forest Lodge. If only there was an address. Okay, so that's giving me the road. I am looking for the absolute house. Okay, this is not working out. This is not working out. But I will have it next time. Trust me, I will have it next time. Forest Lodge, Drift Road, Drift Road. Ah, is that it? Ah, I think I got it. I think I got it. Let me see. Oh, that's it. I have it. All right, you guys. I'm going to do a screenshot so you can see. Oh, I see the tennis court. I see the tennis court. Oh, that wasn't so difficult. That wasn't so difficult. Okay, let me take a screenshot and I will share it with you guys. Is that cool? I will share it with you so you can see what I see. All right. And I think I see the stables. Oh, yeah, that is close. That is close. I can see why they want them out of there. Uh, oh, I'm so good. I am so good. Okay. Okay. Let me see how I'm going to do this. Okay. That's screenshot one. Then I want to kind of zoom in on the property. Okay. Yes, this is it. This is it. I love it. And look at there. It only took me a few minutes to do it. All right. Now a little 3D image. Yes, a little 3D image. Too bad I didn't think about this before. Okay. My very patient colleagues, let me show you what I got. By the way, they say it's fit for a king. That's what they say. All right. There you go. Now, I imagine that those two freestanding buildings back there, I imagine, okay, so the house is on the left. You can see that weird flat roof that it has. And then you have those freestanding buildings there on the right side, right? And I think those are the ones where they want the people out of there. So I am going to show you another image that's a little broader, give you a better chance to see the layout of everything. See there? So you see that weird, like, turnaround driveway that they have right there. Okay, that's not so clear. It's not so easy to see. But okay, let's zoom back in. I have another one. I do have one more that might be helpful. So this is a regular top, I mean, from up above view. That is a 3D image where it just kind of tilts back and you can see windows and stuff like that. So but then you see that weird driveway, the way it looks. Okay, that's like a little turnaround. And then you can see how it looks from a distance. And there is the tennis court, the before mentioned tennis court. So that ought to give them plenty privacy, you know. Um, yeah, that gives them plenty privacy. I can see why they um, want this property. So if those two buildings that we see there are, if those are, and let's see, I do believe those are the closest structures. Yeah, it has to be those two. That looks like something of a gatehouse where the driveway begins. And then you have those two buildings back there. And I suppose that those look like stables. So, yeah, y'all got to go. Unless there's something else behind those trees there. I do believe that those are the buildings that they're speaking of. Uh-huh. Yeah, I've been looking at that roof. That roof is a mess. It is a mess. And I suppose that that's what they're doing here is that they need to change out the roof, do some tuck pointing. Isn't that something? When the tenants live there, the Crown Estate isn't really interested in doing much work. But once the royals move in, then of course, that's when they decide that something just has to be done. Hey Legs, let me see here. Sharon Skinner, what am I missing here? What happened? Let me go back and take a look. Hope everything's okay. Oh, Legs, I'm sorry I missed that. Yeah, it requires a new home, obviously. Thank you for the super chat. Yeah, Kate is the most protected of the species for sure. Thank you for the super chat. Um, the pre condition that she was in requires a new home. Not to mention, they threw in there that Queen Elizabeth died. Now, what Queen Elizabeth has to do with anything, I don't know. Um, but they said after the Queen's death and after Kate's scare that they require a new home. That's what they said. And they are never wrong. Let's see, my guess is they are kicking people out because they want staff and security there. Absolutely. They want to pretend that the staff isn't living there, but staff will be living in a different house, just like Adelaide Cottage. Just like Adelaide Cottage. Remember the two structures behind the Adelaide Cottage. I believe one would be for their vehicles and the other, and even Admiral Hall, if you look at the aerial view of Admiral Hall, there is another structure behind it of nearly equal size, it appears from the satellite image. So there is always going to be lots of security, obviously, and there is going to be staff there living on the premises, but just not inside of the house. It's a little you know mind game that they play with people where they want you to believe that they are going to have this independent existence, that things are going to be simpler for them, but nothing could be further from the truth. Let me see. Adelaide. No. What is it? Adelaide Cottage. Oh, yeah. There we go. Let me see if I can find a view of Adelaide Cottage from the top. I can show you those outbuildings that they have there. They're so full of crap. Let me see here. Ah, there it is, Adelaide Cottage. Okay, let me show you that, and then we'll continue. There you go. So this is a very blurry image, but all of the very white, bright part there, that is the existing house. And then if you look behind it, you can see what appears to be one or two uh, buildings, right there on the same property. Sorry about the blurry image, but who is y'all fooling? Oh, this is better. Let me try this one. Who is y'all trying to fool? What do you take me for? A little nail from the country? Okay. There you go. You can see the house um, to the right, and then you can see the structures in the background there. Obviously, not such a not exactly what they would lead you to believe is just a modest little home. Eh, yeah. Anyway, that's enough of that. All right. Let me get back to where are we at here? Um, there we go. Fit for a king. So Helen says they need to pay the renovation costs at full market price. Bradley Cottage, I am sick and tired of my taxes going toward their home renovations. It is rather capricious the way that they just decide to jump from one property to the next, especially when there are so many people that are struggling to get onto the housing ladder. People who will never, I mean, hardworking young people, and that also goes for the United States. I hear housing is very difficult in Canada right now. The younger generation is going to find it so much more difficult to find access to home ownership. It is becoming very, very difficult to make that happen. Um, in post war, there were a lot of people in that post war generation that were able to, you know, to buy a home. I think of of my relatives, for instance, that home ownership seemed very easy and attainable. But when you think about the younger generation, that is going to cause a great deal of apathy amongst people that are struggling right now. How casual and cavalier they are about all of this, house hopping. Connie Bomber! Hey, Connie Bomber, thank you so much for joining us. Let me see. Don't they have a 40-room apartment at Kensington, Amber Hall, Adelaide, and a little home on Balmoral Ground in Scotland? What justifies this much extravagance? The press is going to turn on him. Well, I tell you, I was not expecting the the comments that they made in the Daily Mail yesterday. I was not expecting that. I mean, it wasn't as brutal as they would have been on the Sussexes, but still, the untouchable way that they have treated the Waleses seems to have changed. God, I'm looking at that tennis court. It looks kind of run down. It really does look kind of run down. This property is in dire need of some upgrades. It really is. It looks so shabby. I don't know when this satellite image was taken, but it looks pretty shabby. Very shabby. Lime Avenue. I'm trying to see if there is a gatehouse. It looks like there is a gatehouse. All right. Well, I don't suppose that they're going to ask those people to move, but yeah, just if it is true that that is the wow, this is very interesting. Yeah, I do believe that that is it there. Okay. This is fascinating, this satellite interview, I tell you. Kate and William's fresh start. Prince and Princess of Wales to move family to new 8-bedroom forever home in Windsor. after Kate's cancer battle. Now, that right there, that is the little buzzword right there. In order to make it very sympathetic for the Wells family, as though everybody family just is able to uproot from their current a residence that is, and then just go to another house because someone had a health scare. I mean, I found myself in the hospital about this time last year. It never dawned on me that I should just move. I had to think about that. Huh. Hey, Hazel Jones. Kate is downsizing and living life on her own terms now. No wonder an 8-bed lodge with no live in servants trumps a palace. It offers the Prince and Princess of Wales a chance to have a to have a normal life. To have a normal life. Forest Lodge on the Great Windsor Park estate. It gives them a chance to have a normal life. So they're moving into a new home worth 16 million pounds because that's what normal people do. And they're going to move later this year. Don't forget, this is happening later this year, it says. Um, so yeah, and they dubbed it their new forever home. Just like Kensington, just like Amber Hall, and of course their current home, Adelaide Cottage. All of these forever homes. You know, Adelaide Cottage just seems like it was a bit of a stopgap. Do you all remember when Kate was recovering from her treatments or illness or whatever was going on, and they were saying that that Adelaide Cottage wasn't really fit. It wasn't fit for someone recovering from precancerous cells, um, and that it was very cold and drafty. And, whereas Queen Elizabeth, what did she do? She went and bought a little space heater. You could see her sitting at her desk with a plug-in space heater. But for the Welleses, it requires moving to a whole brand new house, a restored, renovated house, likely to have a new roof on it. That is what is required for them. Let's see, annoying to have me. I'm sorry, it's annoying to me. They've moved to two people living near them in properties on the estate. Yeah, but remember, these people thought it was a good idea, and it was just like, oh, yes, we'll leave. Yes, we'll leave. And they say that they found some places for them that are even nicer, or just as good, if not better. That's what they said. Well, they said later this year. They said later this year. I do not believe that those are solar panels. The solar panels would be a little darker. Um, yeah, I don't think so. I mean, it very well could be, but I don't think so. It's the I I have been struggling to understand the layout of this house. Um, and then also, yeah, I don't know what to make of it. They say that the house has Venetian windows. I keep hearing that term, Venetian windows. But the house looks kind of like a mixture of forms or styles or something like that. Kind of like Frogmore didn't seem to have any kind of cohesive design. It seemed like it was just added to again and again. And maybe that's what's going on here. I wonder how much of this was the original structure. But it is a very odd looking house, I'll say that. It lacks symmetry, I think. I don't know. I don't know. Strange looking house though. But as for solar panels, I don't think so, but I could be wrong. I could be wrong, but it doesn't look like solar panels to me. To me, it looks like some kind of like inexpensive roofing material that was just kind of thrown up there to keep the leaks out. Every time I look at the roof, it goes from bad to worse. It is really ratty looking. Yeah, it really is kind of ratty looking. Okay. Thank you for your comment. Now, this is from yesterday from Feminegra, and I said we do it today instead. So let's get on with that. All right, it says Prince William and Kate Middleton's plan to move their family into Forest Lodge in Windsor Great Park. The property is a grade 2 listed house with 8 bedrooms on Crown Estate land. Reports say Kensington Palace expects the move later this year with renovations paid privately and no live-in staff. Again, no live-in staff. Friendly Outlets presents the change as a family decision after 3 difficult years marked by illness and loss. The message is simple: a permanent base near the children's school promises privacy and stability. Media spin on Kate and William's Forest Lodge move. Headlines call the house a forever home and a fresh start. Pieces highlight that the couple will fund works themselves and pay rent, repeating the line that there is no cost to the taxpayers. At no cost to the taxpayers. Articles stress that the family seeks normal life with children at the center of the choice. History lessons about the lodge's 300 plus years add tradition and legitimacy. Reports recast Adelaide Cottage as a place of hard memories, inviting sympathy and diverting attention from past spending on other homes across tabloids and lifestyle sites. The framing sells responsibility, modesty, and what is that? Permanence. Yes. Stability, modesty, and permanence. So if you look at those right there, you can see it says Throne Sweet Home, Kate and William's fresh start, William and Kate moving to gorgeous 8-bedroom for fresh start. Wow, it's almost as though this was written by someone at the Kensington Palace, right? No live-in staff, whatever you say. The move caps a long trail of addresses. William and Kate began married life at Nottingham Cottage. I almost forget about Nottingham. Inside Kensington Palace, they then shifted to apartment 1A, a 4-story residence with more than 20 rooms. As revealed in the 2014 Sovereign Grant Report, the cost to the taxpayers of £4.5 million, or in US money, $7.6 million, That's the renovation costs. Even as the palace promoted it as their forever home, country life followed at Admiral Hall on the Sandringham estate, where the public funds covered major works in 2021. Hello Magazine reported that Admiral Hall had received a 1.5 million in renovations, which included rerouting the driveway. Then by 2022, the family resettled at Adelaide Cottage in Windsor. Adelaide Cottage also saw significant refurbishment before their arrival, reported at around £1.5 million. Again, it was billed as a modest choice close to the children's school. 3 years on, the couple is preparing to leave again, this time for Forest Lodge, which supporters describe as a stable base for the family has sought for all along. That is, Forest Lodge marks at least the fifth major home for Will and Kate, or sixth if the Ainsley farmhouse is included. I think that's the one that's up in Balmoral. When Harry and Meghan moved to Frogmore in 2019, the press exploded with outrage over taxpayer expense. The property, part of the Crown estate, was already due for major repairs because it had long been divided into 5 staff flats. Renovation came from the sovereign grant, the same fund that covers upkeep in Royal's residence, at a cost of £2.4 million. Headlines branded the work extravagant and astronomical. After the couple announced that they were stepping down as working royals, a YouGov poll in early 2020 showed that the majority of the public wanted Harry and Meghan evicted from Frogmore. Around 60% said the couple had treated the Queen shoddily, and more than 3/4 opposed financial security support if they left the UK. Commentators singled out Meghan as the cause. While they spared Harry much of the blame, in 2020 the couple repaid the full sum, even though the system never required it. Afterwards, the press still painted Frogmore as a luxury gift and used it as proof of their greed. Yeah, they used it as proof of their greed. Harry and Meghan repaid Frogmore costs in full, yet the media outrage. William and Kate move homes freely with no such backlash. I repeat, William and Kate, they move homes freely with no such backlash. The retreat from Frogmore stands in sharp relief against the reception of Forest Lodge. Harry and Meghan were hounded over a single property that they repaid in full. William and Kate have moved from one house to the next, leaving behind millions in public spending without reimbursement. Media narratives describe the Welleses as careful and relatable, while the Sussexes were condemned as wasteful. The same press that called Frogmore a scandal now present Forest Lodge as a touching family milestone. This pattern highlights a wider editorial choice. Criticism falls heavily on one couple and softens on the other, even when the financial records tell a different story. Public opinion on William and Kate's sixth home outline reactions captured a mood that diverges from the headlines. Many users recall the millions poured into Kensington Palace, Apartment 1A, which was once described as a permanent base but later abandoned. Others mock the claim that the couple will live without staff, noting that outside help can come and go unseen. Anger centers on the sense of double standards. Commentators point out that Harry and Meghan were forced to repay funds while William and Kate faced no such pressure. Some accuse the palace of using cancer as a shield against criticism. Others argue that taxpayers have every right to expect accountability for the cycle of renovations and moves. Together, these voices reflect a growing weariness. The public is beginning to question whether polished media framing can mask the reality of privilege indefinitely. Well, so far it seems to be doing the job. I would say they seem to be getting along just fine. The story of Forest Lodge reveals more than family change of address. It shows that the press shields the branch of the monarchy while battering another, that is. The coverage of William and Kate is wrapped in words like resilience, modesty, permanence, yet the same outlets use terms like indulgence and extravagance when reporting on Harry and Meghan at Frogmore. The difference has not gone unnoticed. Commentators on news sites and social media raised the old renovation costs at Kensington Palace, Admiral Hall, and Adelaide Cottage. Readers asked why William and Kate never repaid the costs. Many point out that the Sussexes met demand and settled their bill, while the Welleses moved freely. Final thought: media reports on Forest Lodge represent a hopeful picture of a young family building a new chapter, but voices tell another story, one of frustration with privilege and selective accountability. Some people sympathize with illness and loss, while others resent the palace for weaving those experiences into its narrative. They note that not every cancer survivor receives a free house at taxpayers' expense. What remains clear is the gulf between press portrayals and public sentiments. For many, the move to Forest Lodge is not a tale of renewal. It is a reminder of repeated promises of forever homes that never last and of monarchy that still struggles to justify its spending in the modern age. Thank you, Feminagra. Two families pay the price for William and Kate's forever home. Two families pay the price for William and Kate's forever home. Do tell. Uh-oh. How did I lose that? Okay, let me go back there. Anyway, before I go on to this one, let me take a look at some of your comments. Let me see. Slim and Dim not live at Nottingham Cottage in 2011, 2013. They lived in a 4-bedroom at Ainsley, North Wales, and when visiting London, they stayed at Notcott. In 2013, they renovated KP and moved to London. Let me see. I wonder if it is the way to get sympathy by Charles and Kate. Well, let's recall in 2023, the fall of 2023, Endgame came out. And at that point, the royal family was at an all-time low in terms of their poll ratings. They were 48%, which is underwater. Anything less than 50% is considered underwater. And that was an all-time popularity low for the royal family as a whole. And of course, by January, there was the report of Kate's non-emergency surgery that was not cancerous, and then Charles having a non-emergency surgery that was not cancerous, even though they announced the two surgeries 90 minutes apart. And then all of a sudden, by February the 5th, Charles has got cancer. What do you know? But they won't tell us where the cancer is, but it's not his prostate, which is what the surgery was about, right? Or at least they wouldn't say it was or was not his prostate. And then Kate, by March the 22nd, she's got cancer or precancer cells, or cancerous cells were found and removed, precancer cells, something like that. And again, they won't tell us what surgery happened. It was an abdominal surgery, but they won't tell us what it was. And then as for the cancer, there's no explanation for that either, not even whether or not it was actually cancer, because that kept changing too. But what we do know is that there was a wave of sympathy that took all of the pressure off of the Where's Kate Middleton that went on for months and months and months. So, yeah. Now, at that time, people speculate that, well, there were speculations about a lot of things. The use of a body double, AI video, all kind of stuff that came out of that. I guess we'll never know. Marshar, I haven't seen you around here for a while. How are you? Okay, so there you have it. All right, all right, all right. Yeah, I'm guessing that those properties. Let's take a look at the aerial view. If you just joined us, I want to show you what we found. Now, this is Adelaide Cottage. At the time, they said that Will and Kate, hey Marshar, that Will and Kate were not going to have live-in staff. But you can see the lighter building on the right, that is the Adelaide Cottage. And then there are adjacent cottages in the background there, which seem like it would be a great place for staff, right? Staff, security, whatever. So, this idea that Adelaide Cottage did not have live in staff, no, they had lived near staff. They had lived near staff. Same thing. You merely cross the courtyard and you're inside of the main house. I wonder if there isn't some way to get into the house without even stepping into the elements, right? Now, here is an aerial view of Forest Lodge. This is the Wells' new home, which they're moving to later this year. If you look in to the right side, you can see two dark buildings. We suspect that that is where the staff will live. You look to the left, the upper left, you can see the main house itself. There's the driveway with that big loop to turn the vehicle around and everything. That will be a home for the future king and his queen consort if she's allowed to stay, right? So that is Forest Lodge. Let me show you another angle of Forest Lodge. Now there's the tennis court. They said it as a tennis court. You can still see those two houses. Looks like they have a vegetable garden there. And also there is, oh, you know what? I see another little house there. Wonder what that one is. Okay. But the main house, again, where the loop in the driveway is. And then here's this kind of angle where you can see a little 3D image of the house. Clearly, you can see that weird roof and everything, and then those adjacent lodges, cottages, or whatever. That is where we suspect the people have to leave. They have to get out of there so that the Welleses and their staff, and plenty of it, I might add, will have some place to live, right? So that is a satellite aerial view of Forest Lodge. Okay. Okay. Oh, I see what that is. I see what that is now. Um, yeah, I am really going to study this property because I want to know what's going on. I really am. I see what I suspect is a gatehouse, but I am super curious about this property, or nosy, whichever you want to call it. I'm either super curious or very nosy, but I intend to figure out everything that's going on here. But yeah, that is Forest Lodge. Okay, so uh, Kate and William move into Forest Lodge, an 8-bedroom mansion, has ignited fresh controversy. Reports confirm that two families were forced to leave nearby cottages to accommodate the royal household. The news broke after aides initially attempted to downplay the timing, despite earlier claims that the family would move in by Christmas. Forest Lodge marks the sixth location for the Welleses, who have already lived in an Ainsley farmhouse, Nottingham Cottage, Kensington Palace apartment 1A, Anmer Hall, and Adelaide Cottage. Critics argue that the constant reshuffling highlights privilege at a time when housing pressure weighs heavily on ordinary families. It says here in the Times, Forest Lodge, a historical 8-bedroom Grade 2 listed mansion in Windsor Great Park, is set to become William and Kate's forever home. Reports say that the two families living in cottages nearby were asked to vacate over the summer. The cottages, converted from Forest Lodge's former stables and rented out by the Crown Estate, have now become reassigned, even though no eviction notices were issued. So they said there were no eviction notices, but yet the people felt pressured to vacate. Public backlash over new move collides with Williams' homelessness campaign. That's interesting. Reactions have been sharp and heavily sarcastic, with many mocking contradictions between Williams' homelessness campaign and the forced relocation of families to secure Forest Lodge. Critics argue that had Prince Harry or Meghan taken similar steps, the tabloids would have unleashed a torrent of outrage. Others highlighted the absurdity of acquiring yet another residence while so many households across the United Kingdom struggle with housing insecurity. Speculations also grow that the vacated cottages would likely be used for staff, despite public claims that the Welleses do not employ live in help. We heard that before. They didn't want anything palatial, but there seems like there are many places on Windsor. Queen Elizabeth II have given to Harry and Meghan instead of the servants' quarters. They wanted Harry and Meghan to have nothing nice. Yep. Yeah, Forest Lodge is certainly not the typical grace and favor home. I can tell you that much. Okay, this is a very short article. The backlash comes only weeks after Prince William marked 2 years of his Homewards program, launched in 2023 with more than 50 million in funding. The initiative promised to make homelessness rare, brief, and unrepeated through projects across 6 regions. Critics argue that Williams' homelessness campaign rings hollow when he when he already occupies multiple lavish residences, yet benefits from families being required to leave their home to secure another. This contradiction has fueled his reputation as the Prince of Hypocrisy, a label rooted in his past remarks arguing Africans to limit population growth while raising 3 children of his own. Now he champions ending homelessness while asking others to vacate their homes. I think that is hypocrisy. The Forever Home label has turned into a public relations trap. Either the couple will one day abandon Forest Lodge for Buckingham Palace, exposing their claims as hollow, or they will remain at and risk accusations of shirking traditional duties. The episode also fuels speculation of briefing wars inside the royal household, with some suggesting that rival courtiers leaked the story. Larger issues remain: the gap between royal charity work and royal privilege. William's role as champion of the homeless clashes with his personal decision, creating a picture of a monarchy unable to match words with deeds. For families asked to uproot their lives, the contradictions feel less like a matter of perception and more like a stark reality. So there you go. Hypocrisy. What is hypocrisy? Briefing wars, propagate spending, selfishness, cold evictions, etc. Harry and Meghan in their Montecito mansion, their forever home, can only be glad they left all this behind them. The Sussexes really drive home the value of protecting one's peace and distancing oneself from the negative energy and messes of others. Oh, okay. That was a comment someone made. I like that. Marshar says, Baron, I thought Queen Elizabeth II originally was going to give Adelaide Cottage to Harry and Meghan, but Willie said he wanted it, and he found out, if true, he still won't outdo Harry and Meghan on anything. It's interesting when you take a look at the aerial view of the Sussex's home and the aerial view of this forest cottage. Obviously, the Sussex's home is far superior in terms of style and elegance. However, somewhat of the layout where you have, these gardens and such, it seems as though William really has worked hard to replicate all things Sussex in terms of the way he dresses, the way Kate dresses, the forced PDA when they're out and about, even their choices of charities, and everything seems to somehow, I guess, force some kind of layover, like they're just superimposing their images, their likeness, their habits on top of what the Sussexes are doing. And this is just another glaring example where William wants to outdo Harry, even at the detriment of his future as king. I mean, it's not gone unnoticed. And from time to time, some people in government have pointed out that William seems to be playing to an audience of one and really not dealing with his role as the Prince of Wales, which we're going to get to some more of that very soon once we're done with this whole housing debacle. Thank you, Marsha. I don't get why there is no outrage. I would support it. Most of us would, but it has to be led by UK. They seem to what is that? Not seem to not mind. Oh, know what? It will take world conditions getting bad before any backlash. And it's all because of the media spin. I mean, people are conditioned. And even if you don't read those papers, they're like billboards in your supermarket or on the newspaper stand, wherever you see it. The headlines that make their way across social media, it is pretty much reminding you of a position that you have taken based on false narratives in the first place. First, they tell you what you should believe, and then they remind you what you should believe. Let me see. Caroline Teal, is that right? Morning, Baron, everyone. Great podcast, Baron. Hope everyone is well, getting ready for work. And the podcast gives me a great start to the day. We'll be listening only as running. Oh, well, thank you for joining us, and I'm glad that we can keep you company. I'm glad to know that. I'm always happy to be a part of anybody's day whenever possible. Okay. You know, one of the things that drove the Sussexes away, in my opinion, is when they violated their privacy, when they had that place they were renting in the Cotswolds, when they violated their privacy there, it just kind of drove them into another corner, and it was just like they could not seem to get any relief. And then I think, and this is just from the housing point of view, right? The other thing that I think caused the problem, well, I don't think, I know it caused the problem, was the whole thing with Frogmore. I could not live in a house, and I'm speaking for myself, I would not want to live in a house where everything is under such scrutiny that people accuse me of moving my mother in so she can take advantage of this whole royal thing. The copper bathtub, the floating, what was it, the floating floor or whatever, the yoga studio, all of these nonsensical things that really should not have ever um, been mentioned. And yet, on a daily basis, including hog-haired Pierce Morgan, you have all of these people lashing out and complaining, and the taxpayers' money, and we paid for the wedding. You cannot raise children in an environment like that. I mean, there are people that I would say live in social housing, government housing, whatever you want to call it, that are not treated as harshly, and they don't pay anything. And the Sussexes, of course, they were required to, pay. They were required to pay. It was not a free ride like everyone thought it was. They were required to pay. They had to pay into the Crown Estate. Even what's his name, Andrew. Now, of course, it wasn't always that way. Until there was a lot of public scrutiny, none of the royals had to pay anything, especially at Kensington Palace. But then after public outcry, if I recall, they, turned Kensington Palace into the poshest housing estate or housing projects you ever seen. So now they, like the Kents, Princess Michael of Kent, Prince Michael of Kent, they had to sell their country piles so that they could pay rent at Kensington Palace. When they didn't have rent to pay, they could afford another house. So it's not like the Sussexes were getting something for free. I do believe that the Queen purchased Anne's house outright, although Anne still has to pay tax. And I believe the Queen also purchased the Wessex house. The those two, the Edinburghs. I think the Queen paid for their house outright. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I do believe the Queen had paid for that house as well. But I do not believe that the Queen paid for Frogmore Cottage. She gifted the lease to them, if I'm correct, but I don't think that they ever owned the property. I believe Andrew has what, a 99-year lease, which of course he can hand it down to his daughters. In their negotiation, Kitty refused to have Adelaide as her forever home. Now Kitty has a pretty nice place so she can live separately from Willie as queen consort, like Charles and his horse. Thank you, Vinny Blair. By the way, Vinny Blair, you were unable to comment, but as you can see, we fixed it, so I'm glad you're here. Let's see here. It's been a while, and I genuinely miss all the conversations. Hello, Baron, Royal Sussex. I hope you're all doing well. It is a relief and a pleasure to see familiar comfort. Oh, I'm so glad to hear that. Thank you so much. All right. So Prince William and Kate Middleton face criticism for missing VJ Day 80th anniversary event. This is yet another occasion when those two misfits should be roundly criticized, as they would have been in the past. But because of the invisible contract, once again, they get a free pass. Another one of many free passes. I mean, they should have been completely dragged from here to Harlem, and yet nothing, not a thing, nothing has been said. At least nothing of significance, anyway. This is a big deal. They are at the two households are they're at war. Clarence House, Kensington Palace, the war continues. And yet people ignore it. At least the press ignore it. They are giving them a free pass. Let me see here. Okay. Let me find that one and we'll get into it, I promise. Okay. There we go. So, Prince William and Kate, victory over Japan, VJ Day, victory over Japan, marks the end of the Second World War in the Pacific and remains a key date in Britain's calendar of remembrance, 80th anniversary. Drew senior members of the royal family to services across the country, from Stratfordshire to Scotland, while King Charles and Queen Camilla, the Queen Consort Camilla, not a queen, but Queen Consort, and other working royals took part in public commemorations. The Prince and Princess of Wales were absent. Instead, they released a written tribute on social media. Their decision has reignited public debate about their role and commitment. Will and Kate used the helicopter as how would Petal say it? Petal of Facts and Two Cents. They used the helicopter like they use an Uber, right? Hopping all over the place. And yet, there seems to be little mention of it from the press, as well as the fact that all of these homes that they're, acquiring here, there, and everywhere, there seems to be little pushback from the press. But the very least they could do is show up for these events that would have definitely have been on the calendar of Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip and everybody else in the family, all the other senior members of the family. But Will and Kate, no show, no explanation. They don't even bother to use the, oh, Kate wasn't feeling well. Same as with the Royal Ascot. No explanation. Kate just didn't come. That was it. It was the press who decided, oh, this looks really bad. So why don't we just say that Kate is taking it day by day? Kate wasn't sick. They couldn't really say she was ill because if she was ill, why was her mother at the event? But she didn't show up. She's trying to balance work life, her children, and her recovery. That's what they said. They didn't say anything was wrong. They just said she's looking for balance. And of course, that seems rather odd because anybody who looks at Kate, the first thing that you think of is, wow, she's a bit unbalanced. I mean, does she look balanced to you? No, she looks unbalanced. 10 years ago, she looked unbalanced. Anybody who goes as a windsock to a red carpet, green carpet event is not very balanced. Not at all. So, but I digress. Royal family marks the 80th anniversary of VJ Day. King Charles, Queen Godzilla led the main service of remembrance at the National Memorial Arboretum in Staffordshire. The event, hosted by the Royal British Legion, included a 2 minute of silence and aerial display honoring the veterans who fought in the Pacific Theater. And yet, those two did not show up. Okay. The Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh attended a service at Edinburgh Castle, that is, while the Duke and Duchess of Gloucester joined the Far East Prisoners of War Memorial in Norwich Cathedral. Coverage in outlets at the Tatler singled out Sophie, Duchess of Edinburgh, for her dedication. They emphasized her busy schedule at home and abroad. This high profile participation highlighted the absence of the Welleses. Social media message sparks backlash. The official Kensington Palace, as a matter of fact, let me show you here. There you go. There you go, right there. Prince and Princess of Wales, who are not taking part in today's event marking the 80th anniversary, they put that little thing up and everybody retweeted it. Chris Ship with a P, not a T, Cameron Walker, and of course, that other guy right there. They all shared it, but there was no explanation for them not to show up. They just said that today marks VJ Day. We owe what is that? An enduring debt of gratitude. What is it? To the generation who gave so much to something, it says. But yeah, so that was it from Will and Kate. No show, just that little tweet and no explanation. Now, I want to go back to this though. Tessa Dunlap. Oh my God, you guys, wait till you hear this. Wait till you hear this. I'll play it for you and we'll talk on the other side. Mm, 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 mm. Okay, All right. Buffer, buffer, buffer. Let's go. Let's do this.
If you pull the lens back a bit, you'll remember those years of work, I will, etc. We got through them. They're an incredibly impressive couple, greater than the sum of their parts, particularly when it comes to William. But one of the key problems is with the departure of the Sussexes, and I think as humans, we all need this. We all need someone to push off, to compete with in a healthy way. You remove any kind of competition. And at the same time, the predominantly right-wing press have pushed William and Kate up on this incredible, untouchable pedestal. So really, I think, to an extent, understandably, he pretty much feels he can do what he like. We've made him untouchable in some respect. I do think if you pull the lens back a bit, you'll remember those years of work, I will, etc. We got through them. They're an incredibly impressive couple, greater than the sum of their parts, particularly when it comes to William. But one of the key problems is with the departure of the Sussexes, and I think as humans, we all need this. We all need someone to push off, to compete with in a healthy way. You remove any kind of competition. And at the same time, the predominantly right-wing press have pushed William and Kate up on this incredible, untouchable pedestal. So really, I think, to an extent, understandably, he pretty much feels he can do what he like. We've made him untouchable in some.
What she's saying is we have created a monster. They have created a monster. Whether they do or they do not do anything, whether they show up or stay home, it doesn't seem to matter. William has become untouchable. All it took was this hate campaign against his brother to shield him from any and everything that would take down just about anybody else. So much so that I heard, what's his name? Starkey, David Starkey. He said that he would be surprised if William was not the last king. He really believes, along with the person that he was sharing a podcast, they seem to believe that William will be the last, that it's not going to go any further than this, that they have gone into this death spiral with the way that the royal family operates. I mean, clearly, William is waiting patiently for his father's reign to end. And he's done some very provocative things and said some very provocative things leading up to it. It does not seem as though he and his father are getting on with each other right now. I don't know of any occasion where Charles has any access to his grandkids, any of his grandkids. I mean, they worry about the Sussex grandkids, but what does he do with the others? When does he spend time with them? The Queen was at Windsor Castle and would pop over here and there or wherever. When was the last time you heard a story about Charles just showing up? There is no relationship there. Everything is very businesslike. So I don't know what that means for the future, except William could very possibly be the last king, the last monarch, the last sovereign. I don't think George wants it. I don't want to speculate about a child, but in this media, social media world that we live in, you know what I mean? How does anyone survive that? Not just George, but anybody. When will he have a chance to just be a kid? Even from the limited things that we've heard about his exchanges with other students, I'm like, okay, that's not going to go over too well. That doesn't seem like it is sustainable. Something to think about anyway. Royal reporters quickly noted that the couple were not scheduled to attend any public events. Their absence drew sharp criticism online, with some users accusing them of avoiding duties. Memes and commentary circulated pointing out that what critics see as a pattern of conveniently timed non appearances. The tone of the reaction was amplified by the visibility of other royals paying their respects in person. In the days before the anniversary, multiple outlets reported that William and Kate had taken a private holiday in Greece with their children and Kate's parents. According to the unverified reports circulating in Greek media, that is, and other outlets such as the Mercury News, the trip included travel on a private jet and time spent on a super yacht around what is it? Kephalia. No, that word right there. The reports prompted accusations of hypocrisy from commentators who recall past criticisms at Harry and Meghan for a similar travel choice. The timing of the holiday, paired with their absence from such significant memorial event, fed into ongoing debates about their work ethic and public image. 80th anniversary of BJ Day offered the royal family a chance to present a unified front in honor of veterans. While senior figures were highly visible at commemorations, the Prince and Princess of Wales opted for a low profile approach, sparking renewed scrutiny. Some commentators have pointed out to perceived patterns, citing past events where the couple appeared most active when the Duke and Duchess of Sussex were making headlines. Critics argue that Harry and Meghan still been working royals for or announced something significant today. It is plausible that the Waleses might have made a public appearance. In their view, such timing can cause less about duty um, and more about strategic positioning. So there you go. And then I found these. When it comes to like these headlines and such, you really have to read between the lines. And the reason why you can't just dismiss these things is because sometimes the leaking and the briefing come directly from the royal household. In some cases, like Camilla, it is speculated that she herself has allegedly gone to the press, especially where the Sussexes are concerned, and even at one point the Cambridges. And I think that the Waleses, used to be Cambridges, are still subject to Queen Consort Camilla uh, going to the press and leaking things. You see there, King and Prince William locked in struggle over future of monarchy. The Telegraph revealed key claims in Omid Scobie's new book, Endgame, including Prince of Wales' impatience for the top job. Us magazine, inside the power struggle between Charles and William. A complex competition is unfolding between father and son as they navigate whispers of change in William's inevitable succession. Will he outshine Charles? Well, um, William can outshine Charles and not even show up because, according to the public perception, William is favored above Charles and has been for a long, long time. All right. Charles losing grasp on crown. Powerless to stop monarchy's collapse. declares William unfit to be king. Well, a lot of people feel that way, even people in the government. Harry and Meghan move in for the kill. Now, I don't know what that's supposed to mean because they're not interested in anything over there. They just want a chance to visit and share with their children some of their family history, but they're not interested in the throne. So that doesn't make sense. But as it says, the tragic fall of the House of Windsor. When you hear David Starkey say something like that, you know, David Starkey, as patriotic as he is, as much of an Anglophile, a monarchist as he doesn't seem to think that the monarchy is long for the world. Prince William is in heir mode, leading to conflict with King Charles. I think you keep seeing this because there is something to it. There is something to it. There's only so much anybody's willing to speculate, but there is something to it. Prince William expects his control over monarchy to grow, likely leading to clashes with king. Over here, you won't be king. Now I think that one's a little bit, out of this world because there's no mechanism to stop him from being king. All he has to do is wait for his father to go down to that storm cellar at the St. George Chapel. But look at the bottom there. Prince double life of rage issues and boozing exposed as monarch declares his son unfit to rule. I think that the worst for William was obviously, I'm going to say at least January and February of 2024. That was when he was at his worst. That was when he could barely stand up straight. Whatever was going on with him. And I do suspect that there was something about the, what's his name? Thomas Kingston. There was something to do with Thomas Kingston. Who knows what that was, but that seemed to have pushed him over the edge. And it took a lot to get him back. It took a lot to get him back. And all this rubbish about William was just so stressed out over Kate. Nope, he was on the verge of collapse for a whole nother reason. We'll never know what it was, but for a whole nother reason. Now you see, this is when you need someone like, and don't kill me, but this is when you need someone like Lady C, who just don't give a damn, that she'll just put it in a book and call it a day. But Lady C has found her meat and potatoes going after the Sussexes. But there was a time when she would just say it, right? Speculating that Queen Elizabeth's mother was illegitimate, which is why they called her Cookie. I mean, in polite society, who talks about that? Lady C. That's the one thing that I wish is that she would revert to kind and do the kind of stuff she used to do, speculate about the things that she would normally speculate about, but she's rather tamed these days, and you just cannot get that kind of dirt out of her. And that's not to say that, for sure she knows stuff that other people don't, but at least she will gossip about it, but she just doesn't do that anymore. These people have been put on a tether because of the invisible contract, and you just cannot get them to speculate about the other royals as they should. All of a sudden, they have put these halos on Will and Kate, Charles and Godzilla, and you really can't get the juicy bits out like they would have in the past. They're really so hands off. It's almost as though they're treating them like they're Queen Elizabeth or Philip. I want the dirt. They have turned William into a choir boy, which we know he's not. And of course, all the king's men. Um, I don't know what's going on with the two households, but you have very ambitious Jason. I don't suppose that Simon Case is involved with William currently, but I don't know what Simon Case is up to. And then, of course, you have Christian Jones. He seems to be invisible, but for that day, he possibly went to the hospital with William to retrieve Kate. I think that was the last we've seen of him. And we just don't really see many courtiers from Kensington Palace anymore. They have become somewhat invisible, unseen. And likewise with the Clarence House, Buckingham Palace. You don't really see much of those courtiers either. I mean, these people have seemed to have gone underground. Very little said about them or anything. And again, that shows some of the control that they have with the press, that these people aren't even spoken about anymore. I mean, Jason, for all intent and purposes, he's been invisible, keeping a very low profile, except for that day that he went with William to whatever that event was. You pretty much don't see him, right? Especially those events where William should be out and doing duty here and there and such. Jason's not there. He's rarely ever seen. So when William goes on these outings, which are so rare, when was the last time William has done anything? Huh? When was the last time we seen William do anything? And Kate, for that matter, I mean, very little. They have been almost transparent this summer. That's why I said when Meghan, oh gosh, what was it? I'm trying to think what occasion was that when all of a sudden they had Kate doing all this stuff. Was it January of 2023? And I think I said, no, I think it was the fall of 2023. And I was just like, don't worry, this is unsustainable. Kate cannot keep up this level of engagement. I didn't know that she was going to end up in the hospital, but I just didn't think it was possible that she had that much in her. And they just don't seem to care. They do not care what people think. This is just as bad as it was around the time when William and Kate missed the Commonwealth ceremony and went skiing instead. And then there was all of this pressure saying that William is time to grow up, so on and so forth. And then, of course, Meghan married into the family. And once again, William was able to run free. They took all the pressure off of him again. Simon Case is ill, allegedly. That's what he said when he resigned from head of the civil service. Not moved for being a bully. Okay. Yeah, I remember when they said he was ill, but then after that, he just dropped off the radar. This coming Saturday on Channel 5, there will be, there is going to be a program on Harry and Meghan's wedding. Do not watch if you get triggered. Oh, yeah, they're still at it. That is, I keep seeing stuff about the wedding, what Philip thought, what the Queen said, and they're getting so much mileage out of that wedding. I mean, it's just gotten to the point where it is ridiculous to even. But you know what? They're only doing it because people watch it. They only do it because people watch it. I mean, it's not even the anniversary that has come and gone, and they're still making stuff. So I don't know what to say about that. Uh, you did say it, Marin. Kate was going through her own struggle. I think that she was thinking about leaving or to head to head her off. They started seeing articles of what would Kate get if she yeah, yeah, doing okay. The whole divorce thing, someone was leaking about a royal divorce, and the press turned that on the Sussexes, right? Remember that? And then, of course, 2024, there's going to be a divorce. 2024, there's going to be a royal divorce. And that just, it would not die. It would not die. And then, when by the time 2024 comes along, Kate is hospitalized. Yeah, so we cannot forget that they were putting that out there. And preceding the royal divorce rumors, they were saying that William is going to do stuff on his own, that he and Kate would rarely do any engagements together. I remember that. And of course, William went to Singapore by himself. William went to New York by himself, and Kate went to Denmark. So Denmark was a complete failure for Kate. It was incoherent. It didn't make any sense. Kate did not perform very well. She broke protocol and walked in front of the Queen of Denmark. She had to. They had to tell her to move in to take a photo. It was very awkward, and Kate was not on her best behavior. She seemed like a deer in the headlights. The press, I remember the press ran all of those unfiltered images of Kate. Kensington Palace went over there, along with the British press. They went over there being a bit heavy handed with the Danish press. And the Danish press was like, okay, bet. And they were not very cooperative, and they were not so nice to Kate. They decided to, you know, run her images without the usual British tabloid press filter. And I think after that, they were just like, okay, well, we won't do any more solo things for Kate. That was the first and the last time as a royal that she has or will ever do a solo trip abroad. It was a disaster. That's why I hate when I hear some of the squatties say, "Oh, we're not going to talk about it. We're not going to do the work for them. We're going to have a media blackout." And not me. I am going to drag them until I get tired, until I get hoarse. When I get hoarse, then I'm just like, when I'm like that, that's when I stop dragging them. But nope. And even then, I'm going to have something to say. I'm going to do for them what they do for the Sussexes. Now, this one is interesting. Let me play this one for you. Uh-oh. Don't tell me I didn't save it. You know what? I didn't save it. Oh, that's okay. It only took me a minute to find it. Mm-mm-mm. I cannot believe I don't have it. What's that, Royanika, right? Oh, Lord. Let me see. Okay, I got it. No worries. Let me see here. Okay.
An absence. We don't have any presence from the Waleses. And I suppose I wanted to ask you, A, is that significant? Does that matter that William and Kate aren't around for this big moment? But also, should they be, do you think?
Yeah, they should be. And it does, yeah, it absolutely does matter. It's weird. It shows how thinly spread the senior team in the royal family is now, because it is, as you say, it's the king and the queen and the Edinburghs are taking part in these engagements. And it is strange that William and Kate aren't there. VE Day in May obviously gets all of the publicity.
Yeah.
But the war in the Pacific, the war in Asia is, the people and the families of those servicemen and women feel it is the forgotten war. And VJ Day doesn't get the same sort of publicity. It didn't get the same sort of publicity here 80 years ago.
No.
And so yes, for the King and the Queen to go to the Arboretum, which I by the way, is a wonderful place.
Yeah,
I thoroughly recommend all sorts of different memorials there. For them to go is significant. For them, as you say, it's during their normal, what would be their normal summer holiday. And for William and Kate not to be in London or somewhere on that day is significant and is strange. I'm surprised we don't have any explanation of that.
Once again, no explanation. They just do not show up. That is as pompous and arrogant. It is a benign arrogance, as though they're too good for it. And as Dr. Tessa said, we have created a monster. Well, she didn't use that term. I am. They created a monster. William flexes and does as he damn well pleases. And it doesn't seem to matter. And as long as they keep giving him cover to do as he chooses, he's going to keep doing it. Even if they don't, I wouldn't be surprised if he just, William believes his poop doesn't stink. There's a particular rot that is emitting from him, and people pretend like they don't smell it. A rot and a decay. And they pretend like they don't smell it. They don't have any sense of it. And that can only encourage him to keep it up. Oh, I will, cookies and cream. I enjoy it too much. I will. I believe if it's good enough for this person, it's certainly good enough for the other. I hope you have a very productive day at work today. Thank you for stopping by. Oh, that was for the air ambulance. Okay. And that, of course, is when William barely showed up for that. That was when William stowed one of the helicopters. Oh, no. Was he in the military when he did that? Well, sort of in the military. Let me see. Yasmin says they leave properties neglected for years, even though they are grade 2 listed. Now you can see the prejudice, the way the Sussexes were treated when they moved to the renovated Frogmore Cottage. Yeah, Frogmore was scheduled for renovation anyway. And along with that renovation was preparations for the Sussexes to get them in there before Archie was born. Can't criticize them too harshly because that's the only royals they have left. The Waleses hold all the cards now, including the children, and William is more aware that they need him more than he needs them at this point. In that regard, he won. Yeah, essentially, William has won in terms of his position in the family, his position with his father. He is the winner. He's untouchable. He is untouchable. He has his own arrangement with the press outside of what Charles and Godzilla have. He has his own arrangement with the press. Ever since he took that payout from, that situation, it seems as though he has been protected. He was managed to buy himself a level of protection. And as we said over and over again, the British tabloid media is a protection racket. So William has paid for his protection. The Charles and Camilla have whatever arrangements they have, and William has his arrangements. Harry would not take their money, and so along with the instructions from his own family, they haven't left him alone since. Because he refused to get in the bed with the people that he holds responsible for the treatment of his mother, he's forced to pay the price. William has gotten into the bed with them. William has been in lockstep with them. William has decided to ignore what happened to his mother, and even sides with the press by referring to his mother as paranoid. And he wanted to make sure that his mother's voice was silenced. So he proclaimed that the interview with Panorama should never be seen again. He silenced his mother. First, he referred to her as paranoid, and then he silenced her by declaring that the video should never be seen again. That's what he did for his mother. And if he would do that for his mother, imagine how he would treat his brother. Well, we already know, don't we? Now we already know. Well, I don't suppose the invisible contract is in writing. I mean, it's what, a handshake? Yeah, but they would make so much money. They would make so much money. This soap opera, this is the story that needs to be told. It would benefit them in so many ways if they would just go there. If they would just go there, I mean, I wouldn't be able to put the paper down. I would log on looking for them, but they just won't do it. But they should, because that is the story. The biggest story of the century is the decline of the House of Windsor. That is going to be the story of the century, the decline of the House of Windsor, if they have the courage to tell the story. But Charles and his father are not talking. And Camilla and what's her face, Kate, are at odds with each other. That whole thing about uh, Kate's the daughter that Charles always wanted. Is she really? There's no mention of Charles and Kate anymore, is it?
Time because we don't steal. Happy Saturday. Before we start, creator credit time because we don't steal other people's work, right? Thank you to I Am Sage over on X Twitter for setting us up with this story and this montage. I'll try and tag it in this TikTok video. Despite the taxpayer paying to refurbish Kate and William's previous home at Kensington Palace, they are now searching for another forever home that apparently they're going to pay to refurbish themselves. I do not believe that, by the way. There's no transparency in any of the royal finances. I do not believe they will pay a penny towards the refurbishment of this absolute mansion that you can see just below me now. And why a family of 5 need a home this size is absolutely beyond me. 8 massive double bedrooms, all with en suites. Seems very separate in terms of living quarters, if you ask me, if you know what I'm saying. But there you go. These two have not been seen all over the summer, including in one of the most poignant historical war memorial services yesterday. Another story about that coming up. They literally do zero work, live like billionaires. They are billionaires, actually, just through birth and marriage. Live like billionaires and give absolutely nothing back. This story was designed to knock Charles and a veteran mentioning Charles's cancer treatment at this historical service off the front page, and they've done it. This family are infighting more than the Clampets. Comments are open as ever. Let me know what you think.
Well. You know what? The royals want a presence on TikTok, and I hope that all of the things that's been happening recently with them, I hope that will put them on the radar in the worst possible way for them and the best possible way for me. But I hope that puts them on the radar. Yeah, that is possible. I mean, Kate doesn't have any, Kate is a go along to get along. Kate, I believe, is terrified of William. And I believe that she's petty enough to do, I mean, because she is not a girl's girl. She does not care for other women. I believe she's very intimidated by other women, and therefore that intimidation comes across in a very hostile way. Let me see here. Although Kate is a willing participant, I think that William makes Kate dress like Meghan to troll Meghan. I think that Kate wanted to stop in 2023. It is why we saw the band-aids and the trolling her family. He wanted her in line. Like I said, terrified. Let's see here. Kate didn't have the best clothes. Back to those files again, huh? Let's see. Cookies and Cream says the royal family deal with the press is eventually going to come back on them big time. Can't make a deal with the devil. The family is going to learn the hard way. Gosh, I hope so. Yeah, and this is just, again, the refurbishment of Kensington Palace, £4.5 million, not their forever home. Well, in this image that was created by one of the tabloids, as you can see, Charles seems to look toward the Sussexes, and he really should, because that is the only place he's going to find peace, even though they pretend otherwise. Harry is not out to get him. Harry actually still has respect for him, still loves him as a father. But as for William, William is just waiting his turn. That's it, and that's all. William really moves about this world like a sociopath, if you ask me. I'm surprised we haven't seen him out there in the yellow holding up one of those signs. Or he and Kate joining joining the crowd, waiting for his father and stepmother to go by. I love the way AI created this very accurate depiction of Kate with those weird wonky eye things, that little eye tick she has. It seems as though the AI took a whole collection of her images and came up with just the right look for her. That is that is how AI sees Kate Middleton. That is what AI sees. AI doesn't favor anyone. They just call it like they see it. And what do you think? Roy Anika or William? Or are they one and the same? Are they one and the same? Roy Anika? Prince William? I mean, they seem like the same person, right? You look close enough and you see William. So this was from when did that come out? I think this was from last year, was it? The most searched members of the royal family. Of course, Meghan, and then Harry. And, you know, if you want to measure popularity in the most accurate way possible, and that is how much the person is, not how you feel about them, you know, because popular, that's, when you look at it like that, you're not so popular. Well, does popular mean liked, or, you know, viewed, or thought about, or searched, or researched? How do you want to look at popular? Because if you look at things accurately, that is the way it's laid out. But yet somehow in those polls, now William is above Kate. And I think that may be accurate, that William is above Kate, because there's a lot of people that do not care for Kate Middleton. They have nothing against her. They have nothing for her. You don't see young women identifying with Kate Middleton. You can find young women that identify with Meghan, but you don't find young women that identify with Kate. Kate seems as though she is the embodiment of oppression toward women everywhere, because she does not seem to think for herself. She does not seem to have her own agency at all. And that is what they wanted for William. That is what William wanted. They did not want a Diana 2.0. They wanted someone who could be easily molded into whatever you want. And that's what they got. No exaggeration. That's exactly what they got. Kate is a one-size-fits-all occasions. nonverbal. Did you see that idiot trying to walk back his comments on Harry in his book about the Yorks? Harry, take him to the cleaners. Don't start none, won't be none. I didn't see him walk it back, but I just know that it didn't make sense. It did not make sense. But did you know that there's going to be a rewrite of the book? I just saw something where they claim that so many people have come forward about the Duke of York, people who would have never spoken about him in the past. They say that they feel like they want to share now. And so instead of being like some type of paperback addition to the book, there's going to be a complete rewrite of the book. That's what I heard today. But thank you for your super chat. But no, I did not see that. I would like to see it though. If you oh, never mind. I'll find it on my own. But I do want to see that, because the timetable did not make sense, and how that got past the editorial process is beyond me. But that timetable did not make any sense, and everyone was calling him out about it. That never made any sense. And then you have here, Feminagra had shared this. Total stories. Well, there was 3,326, 2,846 for Meghan, and then of course William, Charles, Kate, and 0 for Camilla. I forgot what this chart was from. I don't remember what this chart was about. Doggone it. Yeah, I cannot remember where I got this chart from. But let's go back to the other one, because I think the other one is more accurate in terms of what I'm looking for right now. But yeah, Meghan is the most popular royal right now, clearly. She is the most searched, the most spoken about, and the most visible, really, right now. Meghan is the most visible. For a long time, since they left that institution, Harry was the more visible of the two of them, but Harry has kind of been working behind scenes more, and because of the With Love and As Ever, Meghan is becoming more the face of the family. And I don't think Harry has any conflict with that at all, even though the press love to say that Harry has become the spare. They do that every time Meghan has a good run in the press. They start saying Harry's the spare, but Harry's not threatened by anybody, least of all threatened by his wife's popularity. So I don't think that that's an issue. I know it's not an issue. Let me see. That nobody went on UK television trying to use Harry and Meghan's name to make his book sell. He was so smug and tried to intimidate Harry in the legal process. Now he's like, I don't think it is defamatory. Pay up. Let's see. Advertise it. He is trying to save face without admitting that he lied about Harry and Meghan. The damage was done because it happened. He drained their coffers. You can't insert Harry and Meghan to make money, especially about Andrew. They don't have anything to do with him. Harry doesn't have anything to do with Andrew. It never made any sense. That family is just not close like that. When was the last time you've ever seen Edward and Princess Anne? I mean, when have you ever seen them even have a conversation, let alone do anything together? they got their own worlds. They got their own families. They're not like that. They just simply are not like that. They're not a conventional family. It isn't common sense to stay away much as humanly possible from people who abuse and scare. Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I wouldn't want to step into anything like that. I'd want to stay as far away as possible. Yep, I'd want to stay as far away as possible. So, you guys, it's been 2 hours, and I have just one last slide for you. Take a look there. So, this is love, and this is love. Anyway, Melanie Hobson and George Lucas, still in love all these years. They are at some game. I think it's women's basketball in Chicago, something like that. The Chicago Sky. That's where they are right now. They have a huge penthouse on top of one of the high-rise mixed-use apartment buildings in Chicago. They have the top floor. There is a viral video of George Lucas. Someone was on the street doing a video about something, and then strangely, you see George Lucas kind of cross over behind the guy who's filming this video, and you're just like, gosh, he looks familiar. Is that George Lucas? Well, it was. He was just walking into the apartment building. Huge skyscraper, very nice building. It's called the Hyatt Place, and it was built by the Pritzkers, who own the Hyatt hotels, the Pritzkers. And so there's a Hyatt hotel at the bottom, and these palatial apartments above, including the Hobson Lucas penthouse, and that's where he lives in Chicago. And Melanie, of course, she is a native Chicagoan, so that is why they spend so much time in Chicago, is because she's a native Chicagoan. And they are a power couple. Yeah, Harry is the ultimate gentleman, and Harry has been in service to the women in his life as long as he's been a Harry, as long as he's been alive. He's if you look at the way he moved about his family with his grandmother, his great grandmother, his own mother. Yeah, he's been an incredible gentleman, and that is something that is not going to change. Harry is so proud of his wife, very proud of her. And as far as he's concerned, there's nothing she can't do. If anything, I think Harry is very disappointed with his family. I still say that they made a bunch of promises to Harry, promises that either they could not keep in terms of Queen Elizabeth, and promises they would not keep as far as his brother and his father is concerned. And because the heads of those two households has decided to go all out and try to do as much as they can to hurt Harry and his family, everyone else in the family just kind of falls behind that treatment. And nobody speaks up, nobody speaks out. They dare say absolutely anything in defense of Harry, which, as far as I'm concerned, means that they just doesn't they don't want to. They will not do it. They don't want to lose their place. And even then, I'm not sure they would. But I believe that Meghan wanted to make it work. It is a gift to have a platform like the royal family. That is a great platform. And for Meghan, whose direction in life was to do service from the very beginning, it seemed like a perfect fit. It seemed like a perfect fit. It could have worked, but they didn't want it to. That family did not want to risk being eclipsed by Meghan's popularity. They didn't want to run the risk of being eclipsed by the Sussexes, the ultimate couple. They just could not stand the idea of it. But I still say the trip to Nigeria and the trip to Colombia is the best evidence of what could have been, but was not allowed or meant to be. Harry and Meghan did not put a single foot wrong on both of those occasions. Even the media, they in their own half-assed way had to admit what they lost, what they missed out on. They had to admit it. Even at the time, they admitted it. Oh, why couldn't this and why couldn't that? Because you didn't let it happen. Because you gave in to the the overlords or whatever. But there's no way that a happy marriage is going to last under the weight of that institution. It was not going to last. Unfortunately, they just would not stop harassing them. So they left. Harry said, "You're not going to do to my wife what you did to my mother. You're not going to do that to my children. We are leaving." Meghan said she would have stayed. Harry said, "We're not staying." And that was that. We're out of here. Yeah, that was a great interview. Very good. Also, I love the thing with Melanie and Harry, where they had those young people that they invited, and I think it had something to do with the Obama Foundation, but that was great too. Yeah, they make a great team. They make a fantastic team. I have no doubt that the Sussexes were meant to be, but they just could not stay over in over there with those people. They would not have been appreciated. There was no future for them there. It's unfortunate. I think that the royal family would have gotten about another 100 years out of the Sussexes. They would have, definitely have put them on the right trajectory for the future, much like Diana did. But instead, you have two bitter, awful couples at the top of the ticket, and they are not even getting along with each other. I say they're getting what they deserve. Anyway, love you guys. I am going to say goodnight at this time. Thank you so much for watching. Royal Sussex. And we're going to try to come on as early as possible this coming week. Let's see what happens, okay? All right, cheers. See you guys next time.